Every morning gives you a reset button, but most people don't use it. They wake up carrying yesterday's mistakes, last week's disappointments, and last year's pain. They open their eyes, grab their phone, and let the world decide how they should feel before they even get out of bed. But the truth is, the first moments of your morning hold the power to shape everything that follows. How you start your day decides how you live it. When you wake up and choose to complain, you've already given your power away. You've told yourself today will be just like yesterday, and your mind will find ways to prove you right. But when you wake up with intention, with gratitude and clarity, you tell your brain, this day is mine. And suddenly everything feels different. You start noticing opportunities instead of obstacles. You begin to act with purpose instead of reacting to problems. The morning is not just the beginning of a day. It's the beginning of a mindset. The thoughts you feed yourself in those first quiet moments become the foundation for how you handle everything else. That's why people who take control of their mornings tend to take control of their lives. They use that time to focus, to ground themselves, and to set their perspective before the noise of the world can get in. Think of an athlete before a big game. They don't stumble into it unprepared. They visualize their victory before they step on the field. They see themselves winning, feeling that moment long before it happens. That mental preparation isn't just ritual, it's strategy. And you can do the same thing every morning with your own life. Here's a simple example. A young entrepreneur was struggling with stress and failure. Every morning she'd wake up, check her emails, and instantly feel overwhelmed by problems she hadn't even had the chance to solve. Her day would spiral before it began. One day, she decided to change her approach. She made a rule. For the first 30 minutes after waking up, no phone, no emails, no distractions. Instead, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for, 3 things she wanted to accomplish, and spent 5 minutes visualizing how she wanted her day to go. Within weeks, her productivity and mindset completely shifted. The problems didn't disappear, but she faced them with more clarity and confidence because she had already set the tone for her day. The morning will either serve you or control you. It depends on what you do with it. You can let it drag you into the same patterns that keep you stuck, or you can use it as a launch pad to create the life you want. Every sunrise is a fresh chance to decide who you're going to be. Press the reset button. Start with gratitude. Move with purpose, and watch how different your days begin to feel. Gratitude is more than an emotion. It's a magnet. What you appreciate grows. When you value what you already have, life has a way of giving you more to value. People often think they need to wait until they achieve success to feel grateful, but it's the opposite. Gratitude is what creates the conditions for success to arrive. It shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, from what's missing to what's possible. And that shift attracts opportunities you couldn't see before. When you practice gratitude, you stop moving through life like a desperate collector of things, constantly chasing the next milestone to feel whole. Instead, you move with a sense of fullness, knowing that even though you're striving for more, you already have enough to begin. That mindset changes how you act. You work smarter because you're not fueled by fear. You're fueled by appreciation. People notice that energy. It draws trust, connection, and respect, all of which create doors that might have stayed closed otherwise. Gratitude also changes how you handle challenges. Someone who is ungrateful sees problems as proof that life is unfair. But someone rooted in gratitude sees those same problems as proof that they're growing. They understand that every difficulty carries the chance to learn something valuable. And that mindset keeps them moving forward while others stay stuck. Consider the example of a musician who started with almost nothing. No industry connections, no expensive equipment, just an old guitar and a cheap microphone. While others in his situation complained about their lack of resources, he made a choice. He would be grateful for what he had and master it. That gratitude kept him consistent, and that consistency improved his craft. Over time, his skill attracted attention, and people who admired his dedication offered him better tools and bigger platforms. Years later, he said something powerful. If I hadn't learned to love the small stage, I would have never been ready for the big one. His gratitude didn't just attract growth in his career. It created growth in who he became as a person. This is the secret. Gratitude and growth feed each other. The more grateful you are, the more growth you experience, not only in external success, but also in internal strength, wisdom, and resilience. And the more you grow, the more you find to be grateful for. It's a cycle that builds momentum. You don't need to wait for life to give you a reason to be grateful. Start where you are with what you have, and gratitude will turn it into more. Because when you truly appreciate something, you take care of it, you invest in it, and you multiply it. That's how gratitude attracts growth. Not by magic, but by making you the kind of person who can see opportunities, seize them, and turn them into something extraordinary. And the opportunity comes through. So today, don't just wake up, rise up. Be grateful, not because everything is perfect, but because you are powerful enough to make it better. Change your perspective and you change your life. Remember this, the sun rises for you, but it won't wait for you. Step into your morning like it belongs to you, because it does. Every morning you wake up with two choices: to see what's missing or to see what's possible. Gratitude and perspective aren't just feel-good ideas. They're weapons. Weapons that can turn your darkest moments into your greatest fuel. Most people are rich in blessings, but poor in awareness. They keep chasing more without realizing they already hold the keys to everything they've been praying for. Today, we flip that script. Gratitude is often misunderstood as something soft, something people practice only when life is easy. But real gratitude shows its power when life is anything but easy. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending that everything is fine. It's about acknowledging that even in the middle of the storm, there's something worth holding on to. That choice to focus on what remains instead of what's missing is not weakness. It's strength in its purest form. When you wake up and decide to be grateful, you're not denying your struggles. You're refusing to let them control you. People who practice gratitude consistently tend to stand taller in difficult times. They find a sense of stability in the small things others overlook. A friend's support, their own heartbeat, even the ability to try again tomorrow. Those small things become anchors, keeping them steady while others drift in despair. Gratitude doesn't erase hardship, but it gives you the energy to face it with courage. Think about someone who hits rock bottom. They lose their job, their savings, maybe even their sense of identity. Most people would drown in frustration or give up entirely. But someone rooted in gratitude looks around and says, I still have my mind. I still have my hands. I still have time to rebuild. That perspective doesn't magically fix everything overnight, but it gives them the strength to take the first step and then the next. Step by step, they create something better than what they lost. Not because life got easier, but because they got stronger. A great example of this comes from a man who lost his business in a financial crash. At first, he was furious and bitter, but one morning he forced himself to write down 3 things he was still thankful for. Day after day, He repeated this simple act until his mindset shifted. Instead of obsessing over what was gone, he began to focus on what he could do with what was left. That gratitude didn't just help him survive, it fueled him to start a new company, one built on lessons he'd never have learned without that failure. Today, he calls losing everything the best thing that ever happened, not because it was easy, but because gratitude gave him the strength to turn his pain into purpose. Gratitude isn't about being naive. It's about being unbreakable. It transforms what you have into enough, and enough is where true power begins. When you can look at your life, messy, unfinished, imperfect, and still find reasons to appreciate it, you're no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You're in control, and that's real strength. Perspective is the lens through which you see life, and that lens determines the story you tell yourself. When challenges come, two people can face the exact same situation and experience completely different outcomes. Not because the situation was different, but because their perspective was. Perspective is what turns problems into lessons and setbacks into opportunities. It doesn't change the facts, but it changes the way you respond to them. And that changes everything about your future. When your perspective is negative, it's like every obstacle looks like a wall you can't climb. You start believing that life is unfair, that everything is stacked against you. But when you choose a different perspective, that same wall becomes a ladder, a chance to rise higher than before. The power of perspective is that it gives you control over the one thing life can never take from you, how you see the situation. And when you control your perspective, you control your actions, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. Think about this. Storms come for everyone. But while one person curses the rain, another person plants seeds. The same storm that ruins one man's day gives another man the chance to grow. That difference isn't in the weather. It's in the perspective. When you start to view obstacles as teachers, you stop fearing them. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift doesn't make the pain disappear, but it gives the pain a purpose. Here's an example. Two athletes suffer the same career-entering injury. The first athlete sees it as the end of everything. They fall into depression, convinced that their purpose is gone. The second athlete, though devastated, chooses a different perspective. They say, if I can't play the game, I'll teach it. That mindset leads them to become a world-class coach, inspiring thousands of young athletes to chase their dreams. The injury didn't change. The pain didn't change. What changed was the perspective, and that changed the outcome completely. The truth is, perspective is not about ignoring reality. It's about deciding which part of reality you will focus on. Every challenge has two sides, the side that breaks you and the side that builds you. Which side you see will shape the choices you make and the life you live. When you master perspective, you stop waiting for life to be easy and start learning how to win, even when it's hard. The power of perspective lies in this simple truth. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. That's not just a quote. It's a reality that can transform everything about your life if you choose it today.